Ladies and gentlemen, now that we have all gotten to see a lot of Age of Mythology Retold, I wanted to talk about the actual quality of what we've seen from a multiplayer perspective. What follows is how I would review the game if it was a full release. That said, with how little time is left, I have serious doubts that significant changes can happen between now and launch. That's kind of expected when there's only a month and a half left after the beta. So make no mistake, if the release date does not move, then this was hardly more than a marketing beta. I'm sure there will be some quick fixes, but for a beta to truly impact the development plans of a game, several months are needed before the main release. I see this whole marketing beta situation as poor practice that I feel a need to speak out against, as now the devs have gathered all this unactionable feedback, much of which the community has become attached to. So now the devs can basically only disappoint on this front, rather than take stock of the feedback and action the most important bits. Even though the beta itself must have been an older build, there is just not enough time to react to anything major. That's not to say that we are talking about a terrible product or even a bad beta, but we are certainly talking about bad timing for the beta. Anyway, here's some stuff that I found to be great about the new game. The various reworks to units, buildings, and technologies are fantastic. Nemean Lions doing a stun during their roar attack is super fun, certainly so much better than just doing tickle damage. Greek heroes getting trained in parallel, regardless of the building being busy, is a fantastic change. So many minor god technologies that used to give some boring stats now get flavor, such as the Serpent Spear actually applying poison damage rather than just flat damage. This doesn't even get close, however, to the massive reworks that Norse and Egypt got, with the new ranged Goda hero and the Herdman, the new anti-cavalry unit, and the Egyptian monuments now getting fun effects such as Ra's Empower aura when you use a pharaoh on the monuments. I also hugely appreciate the higher population cap, which allows us to fight with large armies in the late game, rather than just large economies and buildings as it happened in the old game. The game feels fresh. It will be a learning process for everyone to get into this, including the existing Age of Mythology players. Even the fundamental build orders need tweaks, as hunting dogs is gone and temples are more expensive, putting a focus on early gold gathering compared to the old game. So if you're new to this game but otherwise a solid RTS player, you probably don't have to worry about going up against 2 decades of strategic knowledge. Retold is a soft reset for that. This is fantastic, and I'd also personally encourage people to come and try this game out. We finally have servers. The days of peer-to-peer lag are over. Smooth, cross-continental games are the norm. This is truly the foundation of multiplayer going forward, whether you are here to play comp stomp with your friends, ranked ladder, or custom scenarios, it will benefit us all. If enough servers around the globe are provided, maybe I can even play lag-free with my buddy Boyd, who lives on the opposite side of the planet. Units are highly responsive, allowing you to do slight animation cancellation even. For example, your archers get to skip their wind down after their attack and instead benefit from moving early if you give them a quick order after shooting. This won't increase their damage output, but may be the difference between winning a fight through positioning or losing them. This is definitely a huge step up from the old game's rigid unit control and puts the game firmly into the modern era. I also enjoy the other big changes like repeatable god powers and the Wonder Age, as these are done tastefully and don't seem to hurt competitive gameplay. On the contrary, saving up favor for god power reuses is a huge strategic commitment. I have similar positive thoughts on the increased lethality of combat, with the lower time to kill and powerful myth unit abilities. The game is far more exciting than ever before, which makes me super happy as a tournament host and caster, as well as a player that is looking for intense, challenging gameplay. All things considered, Retold is a huge step up in terms of gameplay design, and I'm here for it 100%. Further to that, the change to remove auto queue in ranked from military units makes the game more palatable to competitive players from the entire RTS genre, who would otherwise dismiss this as a casual game. Fear not, you still get the function on your economic units, and there's a setting for single player and custom games as well. But ranked and tournaments should arguably be an intense environment where mechanical skills matter as well, in addition to your strategy. It is a real-time game after all. I really hope that this is enough to have large content creators from the Age of Empires games, StarCraft 2, as well as others to embrace the game and encourage their community to try it out competitively. I truly believe the game can shine in this area with how fun, dynamic and deep it is. Let's also give a special shout out to the maps, which are super well made. The spawns are the most fair they have ever been. Plus, there's a bunch of new maps, some making a first appearance and others are former community maps now officially included in the game. All that said, despite the hugely enjoyable gameplay, there is much to talk about and to improve. I'm going to pull no punches. I want only the best outcomes for the remake of my favorite strategy game of all time. If some tough love gets the game improved, then I welcome that. Strap in. I want to talk about visuals. I generally think the game is absolutely beautiful. Units and building models are great. Lighting is beautiful, animations are polished. And the VFX of God Powers is epic too. But there are exceptions that just don't quite hit the mark. For example, the running animations of the Anubites and Minotaurs are way overpronounced. That's kind of a theme across some of the art style, and especially when it comes to god images. On that front, there's serious controversy about whether this is human-made art or whether we're looking at AI-assisted content. The devs have vehemently denied AI involvement, but there's some pretty visible and damning evidence to the contrary that others have covered in detail. Either way, I think we can all agree that the quality of these pieces should be high enough that no one even considers accusing the devs of using AI in the first place. Striving towards that would be, in my view, better conduct than active defense. Certainly some of the god art is superior to the old art, while others are going to generate mixed opinions due to huge shifts in character design, such as Gaia or Kronos, who also will appear as Titan units in the game. I'm certainly not a fan of the mobile game-like look here. If the devs want to capture a younger audience, then I will have to fundamentally disagree with that goal. RTS games are for mature thinkers. Young to middle-aged adults are your primary audience for this type of game. If you have a young kid that you can get to play AOM, then great. But good luck considering their other options and the expectations and pressures of their social circles. The new art style, in my opinion, doesn't directly appeal to adult audiences, though we may sort of like or at least tolerate it. I'm somewhere in the middle. I tolerate the god images while generally enjoying the units and buildings. Anyway, the classic stuff was pretty mixed in quality as well. That much is undeniable. But some key examples like Zeus and Thor have become iconic, and to throw that away is, in my opinion, an error that weakens the brand. There's some other minor stuff, such as the color of the water. It's murky even on the Mediterranean map, where one would expect the beautiful turquoise seen in the Aegean. Readability is not always the best, especially on desert or savanna maps, with the skin color of your soldiers blending into the environment. On the other hand, grassy maps like Highland are doing very well in that area, so it's just a balance of making things pop. Back to some systemic stuff that is not so great. We arrive at controls, UI, and hotkeys. Actually, the hotkey system seems to be pretty robust, but the UI is dragging it down considerably. So much so that experienced RTS players like Grubby and Mem had a brain freeze and put the game down while going through the tutorial. I shit you not, this is not okay. You can't accept that two important influencers that actually know their stuff get filtered by the tutorial. The first time user experience is plagued by the accessibility narrator being on by default, and if you fail to disable it on first launch, your only way to get rid of it is through the accessibility menu.
I accept, I accept.
Welcome to Age of Mythology Retold. Continue.
Welcome.
Button. Accessibility settings. 1.
But why we have this?
Adjust font size. Combo box. 1 of 3.
Why
Normal
we have this?
selected.
Narrator?
All. Checkbox. On.
I don't want the narrator.
Menus.
No,
Checkbox.
not the menu.
On. Toggle to enable. Toggle to enable text speech
what is
for
this?
menu tooltips.
Well, I don't know how to remove this, but
Toggle to enable text speech for menu tooltips.
now it's good, right? Yeah. Now it's fixed it. As you see, guys, It's the first time, guys.
000000007/00.
But what is this 000?
000000007/00.
Select. Okay, select bold in the God power panel at the top of the screen.
Good luck knowing this if English is not your first language and you're not well versed in the world of tech. Mind you, I fully support accessibility settings, but some things should just default to what the majority prefer or need. Certainly the UI narrator is a very extreme and invasive tool for this type of game. This is totally a failure of the first setup UI, but things are not much better looking at the in-game UI. Let's start with that giant eyesore of an age indicator. It's so easy to accidentally click it, and then it takes you to your town center. I don't need that. I have hotkeys for that. Let me turn that off. If it was smaller and I could turn off the click interaction, I'd be willing to accept it though. Then we've got the resources at the top. Why? We've got elements in all corners of the screen, so my eyes have to bounce around like I'm some kind of hyperactive cartoon character. UIs should be compact, and elements should be in close proximity to each other to reduce eye strain. Not to mention that players of the original game will have great difficulty getting used to this. Why put the players through pain? You got 4 rows of buttons in the UI. How are you going to assign hotkeys? Your number keys are taken by control groups. Then you have 3 rows of characters on your keyboard. How about row number 4? Well, you see. Those have to be combo keys rather than single presses now. No other RTS does this because this is simply stupid. The devs are trying to fit a square shape in a circular hole. It would work the other way around, but that's not useful information. Attack move is in the 4th row, thus it's not assigned to A, but get this, space. Yep, space click is attack move. This is ridiculous enough, but it gets worse. Norse military units build buildings, and to make those easily available, the buildings are the primary UI that shows up when you select them. So, all the military commands are hidden behind the page system. If you want to assign a formation, that will be 2 button presses, such as A and D for spread formation. Then you close that menu with H. Mind you, I have the hotkeys changed in this footage. Units also display passive effects such as regeneration, and this takes up prominent UI slots, your QWERTY keys to be exact. What a waste of perfectly good space. These should be icons on the stat panel. When it comes to villagers, they don't get a command menu at all. It's just buildings. So you will not be able to attack move your villagers, and the passive stance to have them ignore incoming damage while working is also a hidden hotkey not represented in the UI. I think this is a huge miss. Retold had an opportunity to revise this, but the devs chose not to embrace pages that literally every major RTS does, but instead went for the outdated and clumsy solution of the original game and Age of Empires 3. Sure, displaying all possible buildings by default is great, but the moment you want to do literally anything other than building a building, you're going to fight the game rather than your opponent. Speaking of fighting the game, you've got the camera drag on the right mouse button, which is also how you give move orders. It's very easy to toggle this mode by simply playing the game normally with your commands. This should not be a toggle setting, but something that you can set a hotkey for. The modern accepted default for this is the middle mouse button. This function, by the way, is great for smooth movement in spectator mode, where I did try to use it. But for playing, I had to turn it off, as it's horrible to have the camera shift while you micromanage. As far as spectating goes, I want to thank the devs for making it possible to spectate ranked matches. This is absolutely huge for those looking to learn, and even better for content creators who can now farm this content going forward. Absolutely epic. Unfortunately, I have nothing kind to say about the spectator mode itself. I cannot host a lobby as a spectator, so the players will be off to do their own thing. If I join late to spectate, by the time I'm done, the players may already have finished and also may have ended their next game, which I will have no access to. This is an enormous problem for tournaments. Some players will always be non-compliant for one reason or another, and hosting as a spectator is the best way to control the pacing of an event. If I specifically want to cover a match on the main livestream, the players can just be ahead on their own live streams and cause the community to get spoiled in my commentary stream by the other viewers. Regarding the spectator UI itself, the top panel takes up a ton of space and looks totally placeholder. It's very difficult to tell players apart in a mirror matchup, and there's a lot of missing information. You can only spectate one player at a time rather than having a neutral view, so you can't see what all players are currently building and training at the same time, nor can you see their combined vision. Instead, you have to reveal the entire map to properly commentate and see all sides. We had all this and more in the extended edition, so all of this feels seriously underbaked. Let's not even talk about the replay control panel, which blocks our view of the UI underneath it. How does the team imagine this will look in esports? I also want to say a few words about pathfinding and unit AI. Large armies are basically super smooth. Even a full population Ragnarok army can get away with being in the same area. But when it comes to surrounds, units can escape very easily and worm their way out of situations where they should obviously become trapped. But what's much worse than this is stuff like units getting randomly stuck around edges or villagers randomly getting idle. I had this water match where 2 of my woodcutters were stuck, refusing to work. This is an economic auto loss. I could not afford making ships. It happens all the time to all kinds of villagers, and the villagers just stand around or jitter, not reporting themselves as idle. Could we please not have this? Next up, the dumpster tier. Let's talk about ranked matchmaking. The only positive I have to say here is that it exists and is functional. Not only is the actual matchmaking slow against equal-ish opponents that are also searching, but once it is finally done, you get thrown into a lobby. Here, you are presented with a UI that displays your opponent's god pick, their name, and a map of course. Okay, so now you'll both keep swapping your gods based on what you think is best against the other person. Then someone gets annoyed by this and leaves. Maybe they did so because you're stronger and they remember you. Anyway, they don't lose points for this. With enough time, you can pick your opponent and avoid obvious losses against better players. I do like the part that you can pick a god that fits the map. Age of Mythology plays really well into that. But all information about my opponent should be hidden until we are in a match. At that point, if they leave, they lose anyway. As far as the search goes, rating isn't displayed, and the leaderboard does not exist in the game either. The profile data is not particularly useful regarding god win rates, as different game modes and team sizes all get dumped into the same dataset. This is pure fluff and not useful. What's more, match histories do not have replay files attached, so if you miss a game live, you cannot watch it later as you can with Age of Empires 4. Unless you're friends with the people in question and they send you the replay file. Are we really going to have to resort to third-party websites for information and replays? Such a missed opportunity if that is our fate. Okay, so all this might have felt pretty harsh, especially considering how much I clearly enjoyed playing during the beta weekend. But I will reiterate, I think Age of Mythology Retold has the chance to be the biggest RTS game in this decade, with the right care. I don't think that all areas of the game are getting sufficient attention right now. First impressions matter a lot, and if the launch is weak, the consequences of that will be felt for years, and recovery will be difficult. All I can hope for is that these criticisms do not fall on deaf ears, and that some of them will be addressed sooner rather than later. Nevertheless, I will be around and cover the game plenty going forward. Like and subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.